Talk dirty to me, I said to my fiance on the night of my birthday. We were in bed, getting hot and heavy, and I could see the panic spread across his face. Little beads of sweat started covering his forehead. Then I reached down his pants, and it was limp. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. I was so embarrassed. Then the thoughts started racing through my head. Do I not turn him on anymore? Is he tired of sleeping with me? Then I made a huge mistake. I asked him what was wrong. And one thing about my fiance is he's always been honest to a fault. That's when my world came crashing down. He said my weight is affecting how attracted he is to me. Basically, it was a nice way of saying he wasn't attracted to me anymore because I'm fat. I wanted to smack him in the face. Because what fiance says that to the person he supposedly loves? We got in a huge fight. We were arguing back and forth and started screaming at each other so loud that someone in our apartment building called the cops. I couldn't believe it. 1 minute, I'm yelling at him for being a bleep hole, and the next, I hear a banging on the door. The cops were actually really cool about it, a lot cooler than my fiance. And when they left, I went into the bedroom, slammed the door, and locked him out. So he had to sleep on the couch in the living room. I was so pissed. I thought about calling off the engagement right there. And while I had put on a few pounds over the years, it's not like he was a supermodel. He had a bigger stomach than I did. I guess he showed his true colors. He's just another one of those guys who wants to date a super hot woman while he eats fast food every weekend and has a beer belly. The next morning, I got ready and left for work without saying a word to him. I was still seething. He tried to apologize, but I wasn't having any of it. He can go bleep himself for all I care. Maybe he realized that calling your fiancé a fat cow a few weeks before the wedding isn't the best idea. Seriously, our wedding was in 3 weeks, and he brings this up now? When I got home that night, I told him that I had serious doubts about getting married to him. Because if he's this much of an a-hole now, just imagine what he's going to be like if we have a daughter. Is he going to call her chubby and fat if she isn't rail thin as a teenager? He totally went into begging mode, telling me how sorry he was, how it was a huge misunderstanding, and that he would never talk about my weight again. He also said something about loving me always and forever. But all I heard was blah, blah, blah. He already showed his true colors. So a few days after telling him that I might call off the wedding, I got a phone call from his mom, which was really weird because we're friendly when we're together in person, at family birthdays, reunions, and get-togethers, but we're not really that close. And I can count the number of times she's called me on one hand. Heck, I don't even need all 5 fingers. So I thought about not answering, but against my better judgment, I hit the green button on my iPhone, and she started screaming at me. It was one of those surreal moments where it's so strange you think you might be dreaming. All I could think was, is she really yelling at me like I'm a child? Apparently, my fiancé Matt told her that I might call off the wedding. And what he conveniently left out was the fact that he called me fat. He said I, quote, let myself go, and he wasn't physically or sexually attracted to me anymore. Gee, what woman wouldn't want to marry a guy who says that? It's like, yeah, please sign me up for a sexless marriage with no intimacy. Sounds like a blast. His mom was on such a tirade that I couldn't even get a word in. She was just going off. And after what felt like an hour, I politely said, are you done? And then I told her what really happened and how she raised such a perfect little gentleman who calls his soon-to-be wife fat to her face. I don't think she picked up on the sarcasm, and she basically hung up on me. Whatever. I was just happy to stop being yelled at. As the wedding day was getting closer, I still hadn't decided what to do. Do I marry the guy who I used to love but now can't stand? And I truly don't know if that deep, passionate love will ever be there again, because no matter how many years pass, I don't think I'll ever get those words out of my head. It's just too much to ignore. After obsessing over this for days, I decided to go out with a few of my girlfriends. We went to a Cowboy bar to let off some steam. After the first round of drinks, we were laughing, joking, and having a great time. Honestly, it's the most fun I had had in a long time. Then, after a few shots, we started line dancing on the bar. And then a couple guys came up and offered to buy us drinks. These guys were hot. And since I took my engagement ring off the night of the fight with Matt, they probably thought I was single. My friends and I hung out with the guys for a while. We were drinking, laughing, dancing, just having a great time. Then one of the guys named Jake pulled me out on the dance floor. He was such a good dancer, and my body started moving in ways I didn't even know were possible. I got lost in his eyes, and before I knew it, we were kissing, right there on the dance floor. My friends were shocked, and so was I at first, but it felt so good and so right that I didn't fight it. We were making out right there on the dance floor, and I guess one of my friends isn't such a good friend after all because she took a pic of it and texted it to Matt. Before I knew it, Matt showed up at the bar and clocked the guy right in the face. The thing is, Matt's kind of a wuss, so the punch didn't really faze the guy I was making out with. And he turned around and knocked Matt out cold. One punch. There was blood everywhere. That's when the bouncers ran over and dragged both of them out of the bar. Matt's face was seriously messed up, and it was all my fault. I tried to help him and see if he was okay, but he told me to F off and that he didn't want anything to do with me. He called the wedding off right there and took off in his car. I was devastated. I went from hating him to wanting him even more after the fight. It was like he showed that I was worth fighting for. And that really turned me on and made me realize what a great guy he was. But now the wedding was off, and I didn't even know if I'd be able to get back in the apartment that night. So against my better judgment, I went home with the guy I made out with at the bar. It wasn't my finest moment, but I had been drinking, and Matt already called off the wedding, so even though I wanted to fix things, I didn't think it was possible. We actually had a really great night together. We did things that Matt and I never had done. But the next morning, I was feeling the regret big time, along with a pounding headache, and I was walking a little funny, if you know what I mean. That night, I went back home and had a long talk with Matt. He was still pissed, but he didn't want to throw away everything we had together over a kiss. Luckily, he didn't know everything else that went on that night. Otherwise, there's no way he was going to forgive me. And there's no way I was going to tell him, so it's just a secret that I'll take to my grave. We ended up talking all night long. We both got to vent and air out our frustrations. Honestly, by the end of it, I felt more connected to him than ever. And we agreed that it wasn't worth throwing away a 5-year relationship. So we pushed back the wedding and decided to stay together. The funny thing is, he wanted to get intimate after we had talked all night long. But I was still so sore from my one-night fling that I had to tell him it was that time of the month. I feel bad. But he also hurt me with his words. So in my mind, we're even. We ended up getting married a few months later, in front of all of our friends and family. Oh, and the friend who took the pic of me making out with the guy and texting it to Matt, she got kicked out of the friend group. I haven't talked to her since, and I never plan on talking to her again, because while what I did was wrong, she broke girl code, and I just can't trust her anymore. The guy from the bar still texts me from time to time, and honestly, it's been hard to turn him down. I'm a married woman now after all, but who knows? If things between Matt and I get rocky, or if he opens his big fat mouth again, maybe we'll rekindle what we had on that one amazing night. You never know what the future holds.